Welcome to the July 14th, 2026 meeting of Henderson County Fiscal Court. We are glad you were with us, and for those watching online, we're glad you are with us as well. We'll begin, as we always do, with an invocation. Please stand. Dear Heavenly Father, please watch over this group as we make decisions for our community. Please bless the people in our community who need your help. Please watch over the men and women in uniform that help protect us, both here and abroad. We say these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Magistrate Starks.
Here.
Magistrate Barry.
Here.
Magistrate Southard.
Here.
Magistrate Tompkins.
Yes, ma'am.
Magistrate Putman.
Here.
Gentlemen, you have before you the minutes of the June 23rd, 2026 Fiscal Court meeting. After a period of review, I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
So move.
Motion is second. Any corrections, clarifications, additions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You also have the minutes of the July 7th special called meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
So move. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any corrections or clarifications on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, busy agenda, and we'll start off with presentation by Audubon Area Community Services CEO Brandon Harley. We welcome Brandon and look forward to your message to us.
Good morning. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it today. My name is Brandon Harley, Audubon Area Community Services CEO. We're headquartered in Owensboro, Kentucky, but we serve the Grad counties traditionally. I think each one of you have a blue folder with a packet. There's a presentation that I provided in there to kind of cover the information that I intend to discuss today. But overall, just for those who don't know Audubon Area Community Services, we are a special governmental purpose entity here in the state of Kentucky. Our mission is to eradicate poverty and help folks achieve self-sufficiency here in the Grad counties. We do it through a number of programs, including things like the LIHEAP, or Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. People know us from the utility assistance. We offer the GRITS transportation services. A lot of folks know us by the GRITS buses. We operate a large Head Start program. We do employment services, medical services, and other types of services over the area. So we've been in existence for 51 years, actually, as of this year. At this point in time, we've been serving a number of folks all throughout the county and the Grad region over time. So what I come to you today is talk to you guys about a project we've been working with over the last about 6 to 7 months here in the county. So Audubon Area Community Services has traditionally had an office space, and we have a local office space in each county of the Grad region and district where we offer a bevy of our service programs. In many of our counties, though, we offer it in lease spaces, and being that we're a nonprofit and do that, a lot of times we're either having to borrow space, get lease space, or have to have some type of agreement. And so over the last few years here in Henderson County, we've experienced a number of issues. Number one, about 3 years ago, there was an office fire in the building we leased at, and we had to move our office space over here just down the street here on North Main. We've been there for about a year and a half, 2 years at this point in time. But unfortunately, the reality is this: because we offer such a large array of services, it's always hard to consolidate all of our offerings in one spot. So, for instance, if people need a transportation or a ride to someplace, they're going to call our GRITS line to get that service. If they need utility assistance, they have to make an appointment, come into our office, bring in their bills, and coordinate that with the utility company, and so on and so forth. And so in many of our counties, these office spaces are scattered about, and it's not really a great efficient service, particularly for our population that we try to serve, specifically the low-income population who are limited in funds, income, transportation, and other supportive services. So what we've done today is what we've been working on for the last few months is trying to locate a site here in Henderson County that we could offer a hub of services overall and try to consolidate our services to make it, A, more efficient for the Henderson County population, and B, really to arrive at better efficiencies as we serve the folks here of the county overall. Over the last few pages, you kind of see this, and just to give you guys a scope of the service we provide, about 4 pages in, you see our low-income energy assistance. We assisted about a little over 2,500 households, about almost $600,000 of paid energy assistance. Weatherization, that's another program we operate that we try to utilize Department of Energy funding to try to make folks' homes more energy efficient, and that we offer those services if possible. Family preservation, which we work in coordination with the local child welfare organization here to try to keep families intact and together in the home in a safe environment, because for every day that a child enters a foster care system or a residential setting, it costs the state taxpayers about $75 a day once that happens, and then it's really hard to reconnect those families once they are. So as you guys can see, we do tons and tons of programs to really try to focus on getting folks safe, efficient, together, and healthy. But as we talk about this and try to coordinate our services, a couple of things myself and our board of directors have been focused on over the last few months is we've gone through a strategic planning session, trying to really look at how we coordinate our services and try to how we more efficiently deliver our service array. In doing that, though, we've also discovered we have a lot of those barriers that's created from these scattered about office spaces. These numbers that you have to contact whenever you're in the middle of a crisis and trying to coordinate those needs and trying to really figure out really the formula that we need to really help the families of Henderson County. So in the past, over the last few weeks, we've been really discussing and trying to locate a piece of property here in Henderson. I think we've arrived at a spot here locally, and we're working with the local owners on trying to negotiate a purchase price, and we're beginning that process over time. But going to the last couple pages of this presentation, of course, one of the big focus points that I think that is really not seen as much is the child care sector. So as I mentioned, we coordinate a large Head Start program. We're one of the largest Head Start providers in the state of Kentucky. Up till about 3 years ago, we actually coordinated some shared space with the Thelma B. Early Learning Center. And of course, that's in a blended classroom environment with the Henderson County Public Schools, and they've been great partners. However, the unfortunate reality is when you're talking about child care services, as well with everything else, a capital issue is always the problem. If they need space for growing classrooms, if they're going to expand their own preschool department because they get a separate line of care funding, they actually have to occupy that space, and thus it leads us into a serious issue. So as you guys can see on the challenge piece right now, we actually only offer one Head Start site here in the county. It's over at the Henderson County Community and Technical College at this point in time. We work with Dr. Warren and his staff, and we're able to provide about 25 early child care slots in the Henderson County Technical Community College Assistance Program there. Unfortunately, though, we have about 50 reserve slots that we could provide space here in Henderson County out of the bat that we lost when we had to transition out of the Thelma B. Early Learning Center, that we would like to try to re-implement and put back here into the county over time. But unfortunately, like I said, the biggest factor we always face, and it's just like the school district when they want to grow their classrooms, is how do you expand your classroom setting? You got to get a bigger footprint, more classrooms, etc. And so in that piece, I know an important factor for Henderson, and you guys are really doing a lot of development over time, is we're trying to bring in a lot of workforce development, trying to put people back to work, of course. In the key piece of that, though, you've got a lot of individuals in the county of that working age group between about 20 to 45, and most of those folks are parenting or going to be parents at some point in time, and so they need child care assistance slots. So the one thing I will say is that Head Start and early childhood and preschool settings is an economic driver in that you can't really recruit a good, safe, stable, and young workforce without providing that component. So in that piece, we would like to be able to grow our Head Start footprint over time. And so I think by doing this expansion specifically, we would be able to reinstate at least those 50 slots on top of the 25 we already offer at the Henderson County Community College and potentially grow to a larger impact over time. Audubon area overall is funded for about 1,800 Head Start slots in 16 counties. Now, we offer those in a lot of blended classroom settings all throughout Western Kentucky, through here in the Penny Ryle region overall. Each year we go through a contract negotiation period where we're trying to identify how many slots we can provide in a local school district based on those space and other ratios. So we always are moving slots to places of most need. And Henderson County is one of those counties that we would really love to make a larger impact in that space. And so I think that's really was the big driver for what we're trying to do. But also, in addition to the Head Start space, we also offer a federally qualified health center. So we have medical professionals that we can go in and service people, provide them health care services at a reduced cost. We have a sliding fee scale for people to pay cash. It's based on income, and we provide quality services for everybody involved in that piece. And then in addition, of course, we also would like to bring in the bevy of our other services, the LIHEAP program, our CSBG Community Services Block Grant that we really support low-income families, and provide a hub of services that where once folks arrive at one single location, we can provide duplicative services, not duplicative services, but impactful services all in one visit, and really try to lift families out of poverty and get them back into self-sufficiency. So in the last piece that you'll see on this page, or the second to last page, is a design that we're working on. And as I mentioned, we're in the beginnings of negotiating a purchase price for a piece of property on Stadium Drive here in Henderson County at this point. It's about a 45,000 square foot building. This rendering that we had done by an architect occupies about 21,000 square feet of that 45,000 square feet to really get the first phase of what we want to do. It's color-coded in this piece, so as you'll see, the blue indicates our Head Start offering that we could do. The key pieces about this site that Head Start has to offer, it's very regulated by the federal government, so we have to offer a place where we can provide meals and settings, playground equipment, and offerings in the classroom. And as you can see, as we've designed this, that would give us ample space for those areas. The red indicators on the right would be where we would offer and begin to build out our federally qualified health center areas, which would include 8 exam rooms and some office spaces, as well as a lab space that we could actually provide healthcare services both for the Head Start kids and the families, as well as the public at large who would qualify. And then, of course, up in the top right corner, you have the green and the pink, and those would be administrative offices for our LIHEAP office, our CSBG office, and administrative offices. In the purchase in this piece, knowing that we had some expansive room, that would also offer us a way to begin to work on trying to provide some more affordable housing in a second phase build out of this project down the road. I've had some at least initial consultation with Kentucky Housing Corporation about the need for affordable housing, whether it be low income or senior housing already. We've worked with KHC and some local developers on other projects, and they're interested in studying this project with us in the years to come down the road. So in doing this, as Audubon begins to at least go through the purchase price of this piece of property, that would be our plan design, is to begin to offer that array of services in one site, and then in the years to come, try to figure out how we could build out some low-income housing in coordination with this center and this site. The next page following that is a preliminary cost spec of what it would do for the renovation cost for us to do that. And of course, you can see it's about $4.2 million for us to go out with this project. Of course, over time, we wouldn't be probably swinging at this all at one point in time. It would be a piece-by-piece expansion. But that's what I wanted to share with the court today and talk to you guys about what Audubon is planning to do, or at least what we would enjoy to do. Our board has met about this at least twice. They're very supportive of doing this expansion, and I would be open to any questions that the court would have today.
I can offer some initial reaction. Number one, I think for all the services that Audubon area offers to the public, it's probably severely underutilized in Henderson County because of the lack of a high-profile place to go and be referred to that's easy to find, easy to access, and having a one-stop shop building in an easy-to-recognize part of town would probably help solve that in many ways. And you can see the lineup, I mean, especially in these, inflation-intensive times, the low-income housing, low-income home energy assistance program is unfortunately being tapped. Connect program's obviously important for people who need help getting connected to Medicaid and all those programs. And you see all these, and Brandon, I would ask, is your anticipation, if this were to come to pass, that all these programs would grow in ways that serve more people, help more people with this single kind of one-stop shop facility? Indeed, and I think, there's been, I'm part of a larger network of community actions. There's about 1,000 across the United States, and we've studied some others have designed a plan design where they've really bundled their services in a single site, a one-stop hub, and it shows more impact for those families and the communities involved in that area. Because the one thing you have to understand is the fact that once we're dealing with folks that are struggling to pay their utility bills, can't find transportation, struggling with their health care, the last thing they can really afford is to drive from one side of town to the next, to the next, to the next to access services. And that's always been a struggle with our service plan as it is. With this design and trying to really replicate a physical presence of a building the way that we want to build our plan design overall, I think this would be a model hub for others to mirror and do across the state as well as the United States as well, that we could really make an impact in the community. The other thing that strikes me is one of the challenges we have, one of the really big challenges we have to getting people back in the workforce is full-time childcare, full-day childcare. It's probably the single most challenging hurdle people have to overcome to get back to work is childcare. Especially small infant-sized childcare. And as we try to recruit more businesses here and fill, slots for employment here, we need kind of an all-hands-on-deck. We need to get people back to work. And I think our workforce participation rate, 18 to 55, is like in the 60% range, which is not good enough. We've talked about ways to improve this situation with families, about full-time childcare, so that people can go back to work. And Head Start is one of the solutions, not the be-all, end-all, but it's certainly one of the solutions. And adding 50 more slots, 50 more families potentially, appeals to me in many ways. And you said that could even grow more than that, if you're able to show some need, right, to the powers that be.
Correct, yeah, and as you can see, there's, what is not highlighted in a special color would be the other vacant space. So, if we show additional needs and had spaces, we could move other Head Start slots out of other counties that either we just couldn't fill the slot, or they had to have that space in a smaller county. We could move those slots in Henderson and create more and more classrooms as we go along. And I could see this growing to serving 75 to 80 kids in the county. But I know I sat on now with 50 reserve slots that we've held for Henderson. I just needed a spot to put them. And so you're exactly right, Judge, in that not only is Head Start a model design in this, it's a full-day program as well. So it's unlike, a half-day childcare setting where people have to figure out what's going to happen at noon or, at the lunchtime hour, where they either got to pick up their child or deliver their child for that half-day session. This is a full-day setting, full year as well. So we could really support those families in the county overall.
Yeah. But you see also, gentlemen, in the list of programs, the senior programs that could grow. I know that Pastor Putman is heavily involved with the Gathering Place here and understands the benefit of these. And I think the community care clinic is interesting too, because we have a couple in town, but again, accessing them and knowing where they are and understanding when you can go and what the services are is incomplete at best. And having, this facility on a well-traveled part of the community with a big sign that says, Audubon area, and here's what we offer. I think it's a good thing. Would you say, and I don't mean to dominate the conversation, I just have questions. In the total economic impact this might have in our community, bringing in more federal grant money, more program money for all these things, including Head Start. Are we talking about, over time, millions of dollars in impact?
Easily, yes. As we do this, for us to do this, to add 50 Head Start slots, that means we're going to put that many child care providers, as well as the administrative staff, cooks, janitors to work. I'd bring in medical teams as well, high-paying jobs that we could bring folks in there from the medical field to bring in and do these things. Keeping folks in the utility companies happy, because, I do a lot of talking with our utility vendors all throughout the region all the time. It's very expensive for the utility company to go and shut someone off, get a payment, and send somebody out to go shut that power back on, and then the dues and stuff like that. So really keeping families stable and providing that workforce development as well as these additional assistance settings it really amplifies your economic stability in your counties.
And how do you typically interplay with other service providers in a community, other nonprofits and
So
like that?
we have a lot of great arrangements and agreements with many of our other stakeholders, the community partners all throughout here. I know that Kelsey's here today from United Way, and they support us with some of our works, particularly with our senior programs. You talk about having another clinic, and we work hand in hand with Health First, which is your other clinic, which is an FQHC in the county. So, we have agreements. We coordinate with those services. I know we have used many of the other nonprofits and partnerships. We go to events, we share activities. Really, but when you talk about the impact on the low income, I think we could probably do 5 or 6 more of these events and still not meet the need that the county presents. And it's growing. You're exactly right when we talk about inflationary costs, utility prices, other things going on. We're seeing a lot more folks. I can remember talking to my staff just this past year. We just finished up when we did finish up the spring subsidy program. We saw just under 1,400 new families we had never seen before in 50 years, just brand new. A lot of times we see some of the same families, but 1,400 brand new families that many were embarrassed to come seek assistance. They've never done that before, but that just shows the need, that this need is continuing to grow.
Brandon, we talked about medical there. Is that going to be like a full-time staff, nurse practitioner or
Yes.
something in the event this comes around?
So what we do in Owensboro, I can tell you, I have 3 freestanding clinics, and then we actually have a contract with Owensboro Public Schools. We provide school-based healthcare services there in OPS on a regular basis and have for the last 2.5 years. So we actually have 8 providers there in Owensboro, Davis County, a medical director, and then we have a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and then 2 licensed professional clinical counselors. So we also provide behavioral health services as well as primary care services. We have a full working lab as well, and then we coordinate that. So yes, we would try to mirror that same element here in Henderson County.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to ask real quick, by consolidating all this into
Yep.
one facility, I could see some great synergies. It's been, I think, studied and proven that the more we have young people interacting with the older population and vice versa, right? Better outcomes for both.
Yes. Yes, and there's some studies to show that in Seattle, there's a community action like Audubon who's actually got a Head Start site set with a senior living community, and the seniors come in and volunteer, rock babies, change diapers, feed the children, and do those things. And it's really great outcomes for both sides.
And then having the medical clinic to serve both, yeah,
Exactly.
makes a lot of sense, I think.
Well, I'll have to agree with you about the footprint needs to be large. Well, we talked last Friday, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but the footprint, definitely needs to be bigger than it is, because part of my district, I'm referring people to Audubon area,
Yeah.
Salvation Army, Community Christian Outreach, there's St. Vincent, you name it.
Yeah.
And then Audubon area has jumped around so much, I couldn't even keep up where there's at.
Yeah.
So, it'd be nice to offer all those services in that one hub.
Yes.
Is it room to grow with this?
Yes. So what you see there is just, so there were some additions to this piece of site. So there's another 26,000 square feet that it's not even encompassed. So there's plenty of room for growth in that. And, and I've even considered, as we go along, maybe creating like a community hub if other nonprofits wanted to come there and lease space, or we could do some type of agreement to where we could actually offer a large community hub in that piece. So, there's other ways that we could do this, but I think by creating a factor of this way, I think we could amplify the results that we're all trying to seek for the citizens.
Just one thing, and I just thought of it. As the judge said, I've been a part of the gathering place for about 13, 14 years, and the elderly, sometimes the Medicare, Medicaid thing kind of gets, they get kind of hung up, lost, don't know what to do. Did you mention, Brandon, that there would be some sort of service that's offered in the event you get this big hub?
Yeah.
That would help people? I mean, we can direct them, but like you say, a one-stop shop would really be good.
Yeah, that's primarily what our connectors are doing now. So we employ connectors, and that's part of the Kentucky Health Benefits Exchange Program. We have contracts with the cabinet that we offer and get folks, and we assess their needs and see what they can afford, whether it's Medicaid, whether it's a qualified health plan, what kind of benefits they do. And they can even help coordinate and try to find a provider at times. We also can offer assistance with SNAP benefits as well, the food stamp program that used to be called SNAP benefits, and other types of programming. So it could really make a large impact for multiple populations and ages.
Thank you.
Also, it strikes me that this particular building, which used to be a colonial, is particularly suited to the Head Start idea because of this inner courtyard that has no other exit except into the building and can be locked and so segregated. So that makes this particular property really well suited to that. Plus, it's got a lot of room for offices.
Yeah.
So I get it. I understand why that's desirable. And then this phase 2, you said it could potentially be either housing or other nonprofit space. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So, we actually, in some of our counties, we're sharing some office space already with some of our other nonprofit providers. And we all know it goes back to something I said about 10 minutes ago about, when folks are really struggling, asking them to drive across town back and forth to different areas. And I think, as Magistrate Putman said earlier, whenever you see folks, you can't really say, hey, we can't help you, but somebody a mile away can go help you. So go find somebody else to pay for a ride and stuff like that. So in that coordinated effort, we would be open to actually offering space and trying to coordinate services with other nonprofits that are similarly positioned, mission-driven like us, to really help that population and community. So I think, there's a lot of areas for us to improve efficiencies as a service spectrum. And then, of course, the big need, and it's in every county, and you and I have talked about this, Judge, about housing. Housing is a need of all sectors. There's not an income sector that doesn't need housing opportunities now. We specialize in medium to low income housing and senior housing and income controlled housing, and those are some of our specialties. And I think that would be welcome as well to anybody, because that's going to help stabilize communities and folks.
Brendan, I just got one more.
Yeah.
The staffing of a facility like this, will that come from like Webster Union, Henderson County, or how many people would be employed, I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, for us to pull off a Head Start Center about this site you're talking, that would be probably 25 to 30 people. When we're talking about classrooms, Head Start, cooks, janitors, administrators, stuff of that sort. Clinic itself, we would probably offer in eight exam rooms. That would be at least 3 providers, and a behavioral health provider, and then some office staff. So that's another 8 to 10 folks. Some administrative staff, another 4 or so. So, we would be bringing in folks out of here. And then to answer your question, we always try to recruit and advertise within the county, because that's our best element. The folks that we employ want to help their citizens and their neighbors. So we've always discovered by bringing folks in the county together to staff our offices, we get better outcomes. People know them, they go to church with them, there are activities with kids with them, and so it's just a comfort level.
Yeah, well, you answered that. I was going there, but.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
For people to show up and ask assistance in our office, they're already having to swallow a lot of pride. That's the reality. And so they're usually coming down a little more downtrodden. So as long as they can see a friendly face, maybe somebody that makes them feel a little better.
So you're talking about 40-ish
Yeah.
full-time jobs? Are they all full-time?
They would, majority of them would be full-time, yes.
And you have benefit packages,
Oh, yeah.
health insurance and all that?
So yeah, we are a special purpose governmental entity here by statute. So we qualify for the Kentucky State Health Plan. We are in the Kentucky Retirement System, KPPA, like everyone else. We have a healthy benefits package. We have paid time off. We have really great benefits for employees.
Brandon, I just had one other question. You mentioned transportation, obviously.
Yep.
Big problem for a lot of these folks. Is this on a city bus route, I believe?
It's just short, I think, and so I've actually started to talk a little bit with the mayor just a touch about this. I think the bus stop that stops is right there on the corner where the stoplight is at the head of the drive up there. So it'd only be moving a bus stop quarter of a mile, eighth of a mile would be probably where we could get it. It would be I would try to coordinate and move it there in front of the DeVita dialysis, which you guys, anytime you go past DeVita, you're going to see one of our grits buses there all the time, because that's usually our primary drop-off spot there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, do you have a particular ask?
Well, we are still negotiating the purchase price, so I think it's a little presumptuous for me to say I would ask for some assistance here. But as you can see, and I've tried to spec out some preliminary costs when I had this done in February. But once we settled, I may be coming back to potentially ask the court for assistance on helping us do some of the renovative costs. We've talked to multiple folks throughout the community over time. I've got some foundational contacts we've made, and so there's a healthy appetite in the community for this project, I think. And so once the dust settled on the purchase, I could see me coming back and seeing what the appetite the court would have to support us in doing some of this renovation work.
I don't want to hog all the time either, Judge, but your timeline,
Yep.
what would that look like?
Once purchase is done and completed, I would hope that we're going on an 18 to 24 month, and hopefully on that 18 month. Because, it's a large building, doing medical renovation at times does slow down. And of course, we're also dependent on contractors and stuff like that. We've been, one of the things we're still dealing with, if you guys recall the hailstorm from a year and a half ago back in March in Owensboro, I just had the guys repairing the roof just this week. And so that's how long we've been trying to finish up some repairs. So really, it's going to be dependent on the contractors and timeframes of that sort.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you say how much this might actually end up saving your organization by consolidating instead of having things spread out?
Oh, it would save us enormously. I haven't done the entire spec cost on this piece, but, as we sit and talk about utility costs, we're paying utility bills too, if I can consolidate into one setting. And, one of the things that we're trying to do too is Audubon area, and so we did this, and we did a Head Start Center in Crittenden County about 3 years ago and stuff like that. We try to do some more innovative stuff to do some more energy savings, and we're being pushed by our funders to do that, and we would try to implement some of those over time as well. So, between trying to having staff consolidated, energy cost consolidation, me not having to do lawn care in 3 or 4 different sites, it would save us some long-term cost overall for sure. And insurance, of course, that's the whole other thing. Insurance is becoming another booger for us to face as well.
Any other questions? I do think that there's a lot of potential good in this and positive impact in this project. So we look forward to hearing the next steps.
Okay. Well, thank you, Judge. Thank you all today.
Thank you.
And already coming up to the podium, United Way Director Kelsey Dunham to give us an update on the flooding disaster recovery. We're still in the middle of that. I mean, well, not in the middle of that, hopefully at the very tail end of that,
Hopefully at
but
the
still
end.
ongoing activities. So Kelsey, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you all. So yes, we are a little over a year out from the flood that happened out in Reed in April of 2025. If you can believe that was already a year ago. So many families are still recovering, but we have an incredible team, emergency management, Catholic Charities, local partners that are just doing everything that they can to make sure families are getting back on track and getting everything that they need. So United Way of Henderson County utilized our disaster relief fund, and with that we had about $100,000 in private contributions. So that was individual donors, some corporate donors, and friends like Bourbon Society. We had a lot of grants come in. One in particular was the UCC Hope Grant. That was $25,000. So incredible support for these families, plus everything else that all the other organizations are doing, plus FEMA assistance. I don't have the exact number for what happened or what our FEMA assistance was, but contributions and direct assistance from nonprofits, United Way, and others alike is about $500,000. So out of our account, we are looking at that $100,000. We have between 300 and 500 individuals that were served. 43 homes in Henderson County were deemed major damage. We had some of you all out there, so thank you all for coming out, helping with supply distribution and all of that. I remember Easter Sunday, we were out there giving out supplies, so it was a little bit of a different Easter for some families last year. I know that we've got a group that has come in and helped rebuild a couple of homes. Those families were able to get in right before Christmas, which is always incredible. And a lot are still recovering, getting rid of debris and all of that. We, just a fun fact, have about 1,000 volunteer hours for friends that have gone out and done boots on the ground work, and we are grateful for that as well. So I am here to very nicely ask you all, so with utilizing that disaster relief fund, that pushed United Way of Henderson County over the threshold for doing just a regular compilation of our financials for 2025. That being said, we have to do a full audit, and we would prefer to do a full audit because a lot of those funds were generous donors, grants, and the like. And because this was a disaster, we had some federal things that we have to send up and all of that. So doing our due diligence, we would also like the audit to be done as well. Well, with that, so a compilation is about $5,000 and an audit is $20,000. United Way does not take an admin fee out of any disaster relief funds, so we are asking for a little bit of help with that $15,000 difference, just so we don't have to utilize any additional disaster-related funds for the audit.
I will say, United Way, you and the volunteers and Kenny Garrett did an amazing job administering those donations and making sure they got where they needed to go. I witnessed all that firsthand, and the county was very happy to help with all the demolition debris,
Yes.
removal and disposal, and we were there a long time too, so I understand the logistics of organizing the herd of people that helped, and then I'm making sure people got the
And we did just send out a couple more dumpsters to some families just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So again, we're a year out, but things are still happening. We're still hauling off. We're grateful to Braco's been huge in that. Tompkins Hauling and Excavation's been huge. Hazex has helped. We've had a lot of people that have donated a lot of services, but of course, we've expended about $25,000, $30,000 on those contracting services like that. That's what we've paid, imagine how much they've donated. So we are very grateful for all of them as well.
I think it's, just my personal opinion, it's the least we can do to help make sure that they get this audit done correctly, because it will have an impact, potential FEMA oversight and other items. So I'm all for helping them make up this difference, considering what they did for us and families in the flood zone.
So the ask was what, Kelsey, 15,000?
Yes, so we have budgeted for our compilation. We knew that we would, so United Way Worldwide requires at a certain campaign threshold that we have to do a full audit rather than just our audit every 3 years. And so this will put us over that threshold to do a full audit. But our board also said, since we are not doing any sort of admin fee, if we're utilizing the disaster fund, it is very important that those funds go for the disaster relief. But for due diligence, because we are reporting to not only the city in cases where we've utilized that fund for the city in years past, but the county, especially for this circumstance that we really want to perform a full audit.
Well, again, I applaud the United Way and every other organization that helped out there. And Judge, I would make a motion that we offer that 15,000 for the audit.
Is that the number, 15,000?
15?
So we budgeted the 5 for the compilation, and we are responsible for that. We just, that 15,000 additional would need to be pulled from campaign, which would take that funding away from an organization. So yes, the 15.
Okay. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We would have to do a revised funding agreement with United Way with regard to that.
Yeah. That's typical. So,
Perfect.
any other discussion or questions about this? Again, I think it's probably almost the least we can do.
Did the motion, or can the motion include authorizing the county judge to sign that revised funding agreement to
So-
include that?
Amend
So
your motion?
moved.
Okay. So we have an amended motion, both for 15,000 and giving me the authority to execute this agreement. You have a second? Any other questions, discussion?
Thanks, Kelsey, for all your hard work. I know you worked hard out there. Thank you.
Yes, and
So
thank you
kind.
all for being out there. I know the families appreciate it. We've had a few little events to make sure everyone that was affected still knows that we're here, that we care. A huge shout out to Catholic Charities for continuing to be our case managers for those families and continuing that rebuild process. So, great team.
I was going to ask real quick about the, when there a group of Amish
Yes.
folks that were thinking of coming in and helping some rebuild?
Yes, Kenneth Beachy, KB, I cannot remember the group he is with off the top of my head, but they came in and stayed close to our area. I'm not 100% sure if they stayed in Henderson, but they did work in Henderson and throughout the Grad area that was also affected. So we were a very good central location.
Are they pretty well wrapped up with that then?
Yes, so as some families are still finding more damage and things like that, we are reaching back out to, I knew I was gonna say it, but I forgot it again. So we are reaching out to that group, UCC. There's a lot of volunteers that are still working. I'm sure emergency management is still getting calls, and we will do everything that we can to make sure we still have funds in that disaster relief account. Those will stay. We don't want to utilize the disaster relief account again, but if we do have to later, we do have that available.
Well, and if there is any kind of silver lining from an event like this, it is the fact that we now have a disaster recovery group in place. We've never had that before, and we'll have this in place from now on.
Yes.
And be even better prepared for future events.
Yes, and emergency management team, again, huge thanks to them for keeping us prepared for any sort of disaster. Again, we hope we never have to utilize it, but it is nice to know who would be at the table if a disaster were to occur. That way we're not scrambling as everything's unfolding.
And it's interesting you mentioned the Amish helping out, because I've seen groups of them at Golden Corral, and I wondered what was going on. Now I know. So, great folks. Any other questions? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Next, we have Executive Director Brian Bishop from the Planning Commission for a funding request.
Hello, folks. I am also here to ask Lee Nice for more money. I'm not as bubbly as Kelsey, so I'll do my best. So as you know, the solar issue has been quite expensive for the Plan Commission. Last year's fiscal year budget, we had a line item of $22,620 for legal issues. We have spent $31,560.64 at this point, which has given us an approximate deficit of $11,263.90. We will have a definitive number once we have our audit. So the Plan Commission's ask is that we take a portion of the WEX funds that the fiscal court has allocated to cover this deficit. We do not believe that we will use the entire WEX allotment for that. I hope we are coming to a conclusion on that fairly soon. So that the ask is that once we have a final number, we take that money from that allotment to help offset the deficit that we will have.
This is just a line item move.
So we have the WEX in our reserve account. So what we've been doing is, as bills have been coming in, we transfer that to our general fund and then pay the bill. So that way it's a wash. This would be a similar situation.
And this was the money we allotted to help with
Right.
cost of experts to come in and testify at the public hearings. Do you know how much of that money's still left?
I can get that for you. I would say we've spent approximately about 25,000 of it.
And I can't remember the total. Was it 80,000?
80,000.
80,000. And side note, you have been turning in the invoices that you were sent, for
We have.
want of a better term, from
With
these
Ms.
folks.
Rhonda Thompson has been keeping track of that. We can provide
Okay.
all the records of that.
Good deal. I can imagine that this whole issue's been more than have been bargained for in a lot of fronts. Any thoughts about this? It's money we've already allocated, so it's not going to be extra coming out of the budget, but
That's what we gave it to him for.
We're just giving him
That's what we gave it to
permission.
him for.
Yeah.
well, not this specifically, but it is money we've already,
It's under
mentally
the
deducted.
umbrella, if you will.
It's at my inclination to go ahead and give them this power to help cover these extra services.
But these services are because of the solar and WEX, right?
But this particular cost is all solar. It does not count the WEX at all.
Gotcha. I understand.
Yeah.
Any anticipation that this could happen with wind turbine issues?
Possibly. We allocated more money, as you guys will remember talking through the budget, so I hope not, and I hope a lot of those funds will be covered by the allotment from the 80,000, but it's certainly possible.
Any other thoughts? Maybe need a motion to
I move
approve
that
this
we-
use?
I move that we allow them to move or use the funds for this.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Did I hear you say you'll come back to us with a more specific number?
Yes, Judge. So once we have our audit done, which I believe will be done in October, we will have a definite number, and then that way we can give you a final number. But at this point, we're approximating it to be $11,263.90.
So you don't need this money immediately. We
No.
can wait till you get that number.
Correct.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You also have a recommendation.
Yes, sir. So as everyone knows, data centers are coming at us pretty hard and heavy as well. So I have found a baseline ordinance that I think would be good to consider. This is based on the Kentucky Resource Council's model ordinance. The Kentucky Resource Council is an environmental group that focuses entirely on Kentucky. So they are very protective of Kentucky issues. So what we have done is taken that and then made it even more strong. So what we have done, we've increased the setbacks, we've decreased the noise limit, we have added new public notice steps, we have created language that definitively says that a permit expires after 1 year if it has not been acted upon. There's stronger compliance and reporting issues. There's also a complaint line required. And the one thing that's going to be different and probably will carry over to the WEX is that there's a property protection plan included. So for example, if someone were to live within 1 mile of a data center and they can document, which is outlined in the draft ordinance, that they have suffered a property decrease, the data center owner has to make up for that money. And I gave you guys a brief description of all that. So for example, the model ordinance was 500 feet from the exterior property lines. That has been increased to 1,500 feet with the possibility of being decreased to 750. So even with a decrease, they are still 250 feet more, or they're more distance from their property line than the model ordinance. And one thing that's important to note there, that reduction can only be done if there's a signed agreement in addition to a variance from the Board of Zoning Adjustment. So for example, if someone were to say, yes, I'm okay with that property line or that setback reduction, that would be recorded as a land use restriction that stays in the courthouse forever. And one, excuse me, one thing of note too that's important, it requires a closed loop water system and then a water and wastewater management plan. So that way we know how much water they're using, we know when it's being discharged. And one thing to note, that it only allows for public water use, so that way you can monitor the usage. We would not want data centers sucking water out of an aquifer and then causing problems for everyone across the city and county. And the other thing of note is that they also would be required to provide documentation from the utility provider that it will not increase utility rates for the other users. So that's a really brief version of about a 25-page draft ordinance that still needs to be tweaked to a degree.
So if the last thing you said about the utility usage, is it going to require them, if it requires the utility usage to go up to our public?
Part of the approval process is that it cannot increase.
Cannot.
Cannot increase. And if for some reason there is, it becomes a violation, and then the violation process is outlined. So essentially, it could be shut down, ultimately.
Brian, I just want to talk a little bit, just so everybody's clear what the process is here.
Yes, sir.
Right, so amending the zoning ordinance, that's KRS 100.211. You're not proposing an ordinance to be passed today.
No,
right?
sir.
Because what that requires is either the fiscal court or the planning commission can, what they call, originate text.
Correct.
Then it goes to the planning commission for a public hearing.
Correct.
Right, and then that's.
It's a minimum of one.
A minimum of one,
Yeah.
could be more, and then it gets, that's when it gets refined or tweaked or whatever, where the planning commission can take that public comment, make changes, and then send it to the fiscal court.
Correct.
Is that-
Yes,
So,
correct.
so you're not asking anybody to
No.
pass anything today? or anything
Exactly.
like
This
that?
is
Okay. I
essentially
just wanna be clear.
suggesting this to the fiscal court, and the reason for that suggestion is when we dealt with solar and we dealt with BESS and wind, there was not a good model ordinance for to base anything off of. The Kentucky Resource Council has done a really good job of creating a protective ordinance, and then we've increased the strength of it as well.
And have other
So-
counties adopted this Kentucky Resources Council model?
Some have. There's not really a unified front that I can tell. I've had some conversations with other folks in Bowling Green, Owensboro, and other various counties, but this has been one of the things that has been used. And honestly, I think it's more protective than some of the other ones I've seen.
Hey, Brian, did you look at the one in Hancock County, what they done with that data center, just the ordinance itself?
Sorry, I'm trying to remember all the ones I have saved on my hard drive. I know Simpson County, I've looked at. That's not ringing a bell, but I will look.
Well, you know, they bought the old Century Aluminum facility, and that's where they're going to put that data center. I didn't know if they had drafted some ordinance. or
I
something.
have not looked at that because I'm not sure if it was a direct apples-to-apples comparison.
Okay.
And that it was a repurpose of a site, where this, we're assuming, is a
The
fresh
new
start,
build. Yeah, got you.
a greenfield development.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Brian, I was just going to ask real quick, how similar is this proposed ordinance to the one that was just recently passed, I think, or is in the process of being adopted in Warren County?
I think this one's stronger, in my opinion. And I don't have the Warren County one memorized. In my opinion, this one's stronger, just because our setbacks are stronger, our noise limits are stricter. And a lot of that has been learned through WEX and everything, so we already have a baseline knowledge. So we're not flying blind, so to speak.
I was reading from the 5th District Magistrate in Warren County after the I think, the first reading of that, and he was claiming that their ordinance is the strongest, not only in Kentucky, but in the nation. So-
My memory is that their noise limits are less than ours, but I would need to verify that.
Gotcha, okay, thank you.
Brian, I talked to Chairman Dixon last week,
Yes, sir.
trying to get his handle on the capability right now of throwing this on the plate of the Planning Commission. And as you know, it's very busy with them. Our initial discussion was about establishing a moratorium while the Planning Commission considers a new data center ordinance. You can argue back and forth about that. We need an ordinance. I think everybody agrees with that. Any thought on your part about the timeline on this, considering everything else that's going on with the Planning Commission?
I think a moratorium is a viable option. That's not anything we're discounting. I think from a Plan Commission staff standpoint and from the Plan Commission members that I've spoken to, is that I think we know we need the ordinance. We have a good baseline to start, so the moratorium's not necessarily as needed as it was with the other items. We'll do whichever the fiscal court decides, but I think with a strong starting point, the staff's preference would be get the ball rolling.
And that's fine. And I appreciate the heads up, just offering the draft.
Yes, sir.
I would suggest that we ask the Planning Commission to originate the language on this, bring it back to us and get started as the Planning Commission's capable of doing, because not only are they in the middle of considering the WEX ordinance, but we also have this ask of them about a solar cap. That has yet to start because of everything else that's going on. So there's a lot going on with the Planning Commission, so we'll leave it up to you and the chairman to determine the best timeline.
And
there.
Judge, I would imagine this would come a little later in the year, probably September, October, maybe even November. So it's not anything we're going to turn over immediately. We just wanted you guys to know what the
Yeah.
thought process was and communicate as best we can.
And
we
Brian,
have-
with the Planning Commission originating that would give the freedom to where if, let's say, after hearing the public input, if the Planning Commission was convinced that something even more restrictive or even a prohibition or something, that could be something that could come out of that, right?
Correct.
It would be all open to the public being able to have all
Absolutely.
that
And
input, right?
If Magistrate Starks is correct, I will verify the Bowling Green and compare it. And if for some reason it is stricter, we have no issue with incorporating it.
So do we need to put a moratorium in until they can get it in place?
That was the discussion, but I think we need to, I would personally be fine with Mr. Bishop's recommendation, not necessarily needing that, but trying to get moving
And
forward.
We're never going to say no to more time. It's just, I want you guys to understand, it's not a direct apples to apples comparison. It's a little
So
different.
And
if we made a motion today to start the process of developing it, y'all could get started on it now? Is that what you're saying?
If that's what the fiscal court would like to do.
I think
We
we
just
just-
wanted to know we have a strong starting point compared to the other ordinances we've been working on.
I think we've agreed, or at least thought about letting them originate the language. As soon as that was done, they'd bring it back and we'd bless it and the process would start. I think it's, as Steve said, letting them originate the language gives them more flexibility on making it stiffer.
Judge, and we appreciate that because it's been our policy that we don't want to originate text because we're not the policymakers. We believe that's the fiscal court. But if you guys feel free to empower us to do it, we're completely happy to do it.
Again, Steve understands and recommends,
Well, and
Thinking about that.
that would not, again, both things can happen. There could be a moratorium. There also could be the process to have the more comprehensive thing. You're probably not going to be able to have a forever moratorium without going through a whole lot of more hearings and things like that, and having that, because it just gets really, really complicated when it comes to completely prohibiting things, but it is possible. But both things can happen, but even a moratorium will still have to go through the Planning Commission process. There'll have to be a hearing on that.
Correct, because
And
we
then
would, Yes, we treat that as zoning text amendment as
Right.
well, which, whatever the fiscal court's pleasure is, we can originate the moratorium language or start on the ordinance.
So basically, it's slow it down if we put a moratorium in.
In many ways, I would say.
Well,
Yeah.
it could, I don't know the
Yes, exactly.
timeline and process. but-
Yes, it would definitely slow it down because you're adding an extra step, which is completely fine with us, but we just wanted to indicate that we have a stronger position to start from in this time.
And to be clear, there are no data center projects proposed in the county right now. We have no contact with any data center projects. Putting together a data center project of any size in the county would be very obvious to anybody and take lots of time. So it's not like it's going to, even if it were happening, it would take years, I think, more than 2 years to even think about completing it. So I think we've got a clear field at the moment.
And that was my next question. If, I mean, you got to have some sort of timeline if you're talking moratoriums, correct?
Correct.
Well,
They can't be indefinite.
Correct.
until an ordinance is established.
I'm just saying, till we do something, so.
We just want to provide options.
Well,
I
they've
just
got
want-
23 pages of an example that we reviewed that was
Right.
pretty solid. So it's not like they're coming off the cuff with this. This is what the
Yeah.
proposed thing, and if we're letting them generate the text, here it is.
It's a good baseline.
Yeah.
I don't know that we need a voice vote, but we'll let them generate the text and bring it back to us, at which time we'll take votes and move it along.
So they don't need anything from us to get them
I don't think so.
started to generate the text.
Because you said it'd be September, October, Brian?
I would say
Somewhere
probably
there.
the earliest would be September, October, just because, as the judge said, we have other stuff going on too, as you guys, so we don't want to overburden the plan commission members or the staff, but we also don't want to let grass grow if we already have a really strong starting point.
Correct. That's,
That's acceptable.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Judge.
Brian,
Appreciate
just
it.
real quick, Is this information that you provided us available to the general public?
It is.
On your
Yeah, it's-
website, or?
Yes, absolutely. If you Google Kentucky Resource Council database, they have a very healthy website that describes a lot of what goes on with data
I think
centers.
that'd be good
And
for-
if someone would like a copy, they can email me and I can provide it. It's all publicly available.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Also, in your packet related to Planning Commission are 2 rezoning recommendations. Number 1183, that's would be rezoning the Basket Fire Department building, which has been purchased by J&B Mechanical to allow them to use it for their purposes. And also, Planning Commission rezoning recommendation 1184, allowing a family in the community to build a house on their, carve out a plot for a house on their farmland. So without any questions, we will move on the agenda down to an interlocal agreement with GRAD. And this is kind of an annual agreement with GRAD's Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Group. Their committee, WIOA is how it's called, and it just works on workforce issues in the GRAD region, including, quick reaction teams when there are layoffs and things like that. And we agree as one of the counties of GRAD to work with them and help create efficiencies and things like that. We have a representative on the WIOA board, for example, and so this is kind of just a rote thing we have to do. And any questions about that?
The only thing that's unique about this, Judge, is that this body, rather than renewing agreements, what they do is they as the old one expires, they replace it with a new one, but it's virtually identical language. So it's essentially a renewal, like the judge said, but it is stated as a replacement, but it's a renewal just because the other one was expiring.
Any questions about that before we read the resolution?
I'm reading the whole thing.
Anybody object to just reading the summary?
Prefer.
Okay. That's fine.
Resolution approving an interlocal cooperation agreement between the counties of Davis, Hancock, Henderson, McLean, Ohio, Union, and Webster for effective implementation of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, terminating and replacing prior agreement regarding Green River Workforce Development Board, and authorizing the county judge executive to execute the agreement.
Need a motion.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The next funding agreement is our renewal funding for the STOP program through our opioid litigation funds. STOP program's been in effect, I think, 3 years now. And all I can tell from the reports we've got in the past that it's effective, it's ongoing. It is a appropriate use for those funds, which, as you know, have a very tight range of things that we can use them for. You might have, if you recall, that we met, or there is a new STOP director, and we met them in the City County Cooperative.
City County
Yep,
Cooperative.
and good to know they have another full-time person operating this program. And our end of this would be $47,000 out of the opioid funds. And Treasurer Ryder, that is, we have plenty in the opioid funds to cover this 47,000, correct? Yeah, correct. So, like to see that ongoing support for something that fits in the criteria and also is all about educating young people about the dangers of things like fentanyl and other opioids. So,
Judge, so move.
okay.
Second.
We have a motion.
I got
and
a
second.
comment.
Discussion.
I said, there was a lot of strings tied to that opioid settlement. And you just can't give it to this or that. It's got to meet the criteria, which is quite stringent, so.
Quite stringent.
Yeah.
As narrow as a, pot of money that we can access as I've seen, so. Oh, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions?
Just
We're going to read the resolution. Anybody have a problem with reading the summary?
Not at all.
Okay.
Resolution approving memorandum of understanding between the City of Henderson, Henderson County Fiscal Court, and the Center for Addiction Recovery of Henderson, Inc., and authorizing the county judge executive to execute all necessary documents.
Need a motion?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions about that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, I'm going to ask Brent Jacobs, if you don't mind, to come up and explain the upgrades we had to make to our website to comply with the American Disabilities Act.
Yes, DOJ issued a understanding that all government websites had to be compliant. The deadline was April of 27, but they've delayed that a year, but we're going to go on and get it done and make our website easily accessed by everybody. So that's
Again, this is a
basically
requirement.
what it is.
Is there an added cost here?
Yes.
And
Yearly, I think it's around 18,000.
so under the annual recurring services, $18,023, is that correct?
Yes.
Is that what you're needing today?
No, there's additional 2,000 or 3,000 for implementation.
$21,523,
Yes.
does that sound right?
That's it.
Okay, so again, this is federal requirement, correct?
Yes. Or we will get fined by the Department of
Yeah.
Justice.
And we can slip it into your budget?
We budgeted for it.
Yep,
Yes.
that's right. So need a motion to agree with this? Get the agreement approved?
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any other questions?
Can you explain just real quick how this will improve the website and the information for folks?
The main part is all our PDFs, which we have over 1,000. It makes them readable. The customer can go to their website, go to our website, and they get a link, and it brings up a special browser that'll read them the PDF. It adds a lot of features that it's hard to say.
Easier to view or easier to find?
They can
maybe?
change things that makes it easier to view, like contrast,
Okay.
everything that would make people with eye problems. They can make the text bigger.
And are you talking about text-to-speech, where maybe somebody with
Yes.
sight
If
impairment
they
could-
cannot see it, it will read it to them.
It'll read it to them, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next agenda item is detention center medical contract. We're going to table that for the moment because there's some still things being worked out. We hope to get to that next meeting. Next is the coroner's report. Coroner Sheila Patterson is with us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, as you can see by looking at our numbers, that we've had a busy June, unfortunately. The last count, we had about 20 more cases for the same time period last year, so it has been busy. We still continue to have, at least we did have one gunshot wound. That was a major event in Smith Mills for the month. We still continue to do lots of cremation signings for cases that are for people that are not part of our caseload, but they do add paperwork to our caseload. So we've had 83 total deaths for the year, and we've signed 74 cremations over and above the 40 out of our 80 that we've taken care of. Any questions?
Coroner Patterson was contacted about a month ago by a mortuary in Murray, Kentucky, and you might be familiar with what I'm talking about. They have
Yeah,
developed a program for helping counties with cremations at a reduced price, I think. The one question I had of that group was who handles transport, and they did not. So I'm sure you maybe looked over that proposal.
I did read that email, yes.
Is that anything that might appeal to you?
It could be helpful. As you know, we've had more indigent individuals that we've had to deal with and then had to come up with money to take care of disposition. I haven't sat down to see how much it would cost overall, for a projected year. But it did sound like it might be something feasible to look into.
Transport back and forth from Murray doesn't give you pause, or?
It's not any worse than going to Louisville, and we have
Yeah,
to take
that's true.
bodies there for autopsy, so.
Yeah.
I got individuals that are willing to do that kind of stuff, so.
Okay. Well,
Sheila, do we,
I'm sorry, if you don't mind reviewing that, if you can go
I
back
will.
and we can huddle on it, but maybe
Okay.
worth looking into. So.
Okay.
Sheila, where's the cremation take place now that we use?
Well, a lot of what we deal with are, our cases end up going to any number of the funeral homes. If it's an indigent, we try to get the family the most reasonable cost, or if the county's going to end up having to pay for it, we try to get that. And simple cremation is the cheapest in the area currently.
And again, forgive me for I forgot that simple cremation cost now is $1,100.
No, it's
Eight.
$14.95.
14.
It used to be $12.95. This
Yeah.
year, they upped it to $14.95. But they're still cheaper than any of the other local funeral homes offer.
I understand. Well, you've really busted that line item out, haven't you? This year.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's terrible to say, but
Right.
yeah.
And we deal with that, unfortunately, a lot because the families don't plan for that, and the nursing homes are calling and saying, well, we've got a body and there's no one to claim it. We don't have facility to take care of it, until somebody can decide what to do with it. We are a working facility. We got to get them out of our building, so we end up getting them.
Was some change in legislation as to how long you have to keep them before, or if you can't find the next of kin?
That would be helpful. And one of the suggestions that I myself have come up with is that if they get admitted to a long-term care facility and they know up front, well, that really doesn't matter, but that some kind of disposition plan be in place at the time of admission, You know, because a lot of the insurance companies will offer like a burial plan. If they're on Medicare, Medicaid, whatever qualifies them to get into that facility, they ought to be able to take part of that funding out of that pot of money and pay for a plan. Because once they get to that point in their life, and if they're there for the end of their life, then that should be taken care of at time of admission.
Thank you.
Because somebody's going to have to take care of it.
Thank you, Sheila. You updated me.
Okay. Any other questions?
Let me just ask this, this kind of, I don't know why it popped in my head. There is a death benefit through the federal government, I think, Social Security,
$250.
$250, but I know it
But you
doesn't.
have, but you have to qualify for it.
Okay. I was
Not everybody
wondering,
gets it.
yeah, how that works, or
No,
do you
not everybody
access
gets it.
that at all, or,
Not everybody gets it. You have to jump through hoops to get it.
okay,
But that, you know, that's just a drop in the bucket.
absolutely, yeah. Right.
For perspective, I'd say 6 or 7 years ago, the cost was $600. If you
Yeah.
go to Louisville to do that, and that's changed a lot, so.
Yes.
I
And
remember
simple
the com-
cremation won't go to Louisville and pick them up, so I have to provide transportation to send somebody back to get them, to bring them back,
Right.
so.
And there's a fine line between people who are truly indigent
Correct.
and families who merely do not want to take responsibility.
Right,
And Sheila has to figure that out just about every time.
right.
And try to encourage families that do have the resources, that this service from the county is not merely to absolve them of,
Right.
you know, taking care of their loved one. It's to truly
I
help
always
people.
leave that as a last resort.
Yeah,
You know, it's pretty time consuming just finding next of kin.
yeah,
Amen to that.
Yeah, it's a pain, I know.
yeah. Thank you very much.
You're
Thank you, Sheila.
You're welcome.
Next, we have the regular sheriff's report in your packet. If there are no questions of Sheriff Stoffer, make a motion to accept those. We got a motion? We have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And you also have a bid request.
Yes.
No.
We're going to put out bids for cruisers, and we'll get with Kurt and Brenda to make sure that we're in compliance, that we get our 3 that we need. But we'll get them off state contract like we have in the past. Also, to let you know that starting Monday, we're going to have a new deputy, Dayton Spilly, that's going to start with us. Unfortunate for him, but very fortunate for us. He was with Fish and Wildlife, made it through basic training, but didn't make it through Fish and Wildlife's extended training. So he is certified, and he's a local young man locally. So, and just as Steve, I see the wheels spinning, that we have gotten a letter from the Commissioner of Fish and Wildlife that says that we're not indebted to them in any way for his training.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I saw that look.
Yes.
How many cruisers do we have?
That statute can be a bear.
Yes, it can be. Currently, we have 23 cruisers.
So the 3 new ones are replacing?
Yes, we'll trying to, we'll eventually, I think this cycle, we will be close. Well, this cycle, our road units will all be out. Everybody will be in a black Durango. And we still have some SROs that are driving some old Chargers, but eventually we're going to phase the Chargers out,
Okay.
hopefully.
And Sheriff, you said you were going to go out for bid, but then you said you were going to buy them on state contract. which-
Well, we're going to go, it's going to be
You're gonna
state
put it for bid
contract.
And then compare it to state contract?
No, it's going to be state contract.
Okay.
But within the state contract, buying it on state contract, we have to, I think you have to get 3
quotes.
3 quotes from within the state contract.
Okay.
Yes, that's
All right,
what,
I just wanted to
me,
be
that's,
clear what we were
I
doing.
apologize, yeah, that's what I meant when I said out for bid.
And this is a budgeted item, so really you don't need our vote, but.
Correct, it is a budgeted item, and I was just letting you all know
Good deal.
that was going to happen.
Yeah, please stay on the right side of that state contract requirement. I think it's frustratingly redundant. Why have a state contract if you're also going to require 3 bids? But we'll do it
Yeah,
the
and
state.
that's what we did. I mean, this has been in place and we followed it, but again, just to make sure that we'll coordinate with
Kurt and Brenda to definitely be on the right side.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you. From beginning to end, we're about, we budget about $15,000 for the interior equipment. And we try to recycle.
I
That's
mean,
it.
if you're just gonna
Brand
outfit a
new, brand new,
all
about
new.
$15,000.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Gould, your report.
Judge, I've got 3 checks today. Interest in the amount of $31.41, reimbursement from the state, $3,912.10, and $3,894.60, bringing today's total to $7,838.11. And since this is the first time this year, the fiscal year total to date is $7,838.11.
Move to accept.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'd like to go ahead and offer the chance to speak for good of the county, but we will be going to executive session right after that. So anybody have anything? Oh, I'm sorry. Got to get with the money first. Treasurer Ryder.
I have no transfers. I do have claims. From the general fund to WEX Bank, which is the sheriff's gas cards, $10,306.16. This is to come from the sheriff's fuel appropriation line. From the jail fund to Advanced Document Solutions for the copier agreement, $827.45. This is to come from the data processing equipment appropriation line. To U.S. Bank, which is the credit card, the majority of this is from the office supplies appropriation line, and the amount is $804.95.
I move to pay the claims.
A second.
Motion is second. Any other questions of Treasurer Ryder? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Have anything for good of the county? Nope. Good. You're good.
Okay, at your last meeting, you approved the resolution authorizing the establishment of pay ranges for the detention center employees. There is a phrase included in this on item number 3 that states, in no event shall the monthly payroll expense exceed 1/12 of the budgeted payroll line item in any given month without fiscal court approval. This was inserted into a resolution several years ago and patterned after that. Because things have changed as far as schedules, employees, the different employee categories and that sort of thing, it's almost too restrictive to use that phrase because, for example, there are 2 months out of each fiscal year pay that there are 3 biweekly pays, and also, especially in the detention center, you get into the varying overtime needs and different times of the year and that sort of thing. I'm asking that maybe that phrase be taken out or reevaluated. I will say there is a continuous guide available on the monthly appropriation report, which does provide the accumulating percentage used by each department during the fiscal year.
I think the fiscal court can vote to abrogate or take out that last sentence of that in order to allow the treasurer to make those payments as necessary.
So,
And
Brenda,
I do recall that was, I think, Magistrate McCollum
Yes.
wanted that in the original version of that, and that was at a time in the year where there weren't any more
That's-
3-pay months, I believe, so.
And
yeah.
things have changed over the years in the rate schedules and the different departmental categories have changed, and it's very restrictive, almost unrestricted.
Yeah, I think we understand the challenge
Yeah.
there. The goal is to just make sure the annual budget isn't exceeded, so.
Judge, I move that we approve the striking of that sentence. Is it just one sentence?
Yes,
We
sir.
have a motion. Second. Second. We have a motion and a second. Any other questions about this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Judge, I would like to ask if we have anyone present today here to discuss 14089 Tom Smith Road. If not, then Mr. Tassa, I think you have another meeting you have to get to. There was a potential that there was an issue going to come up about that. We'll probably ask that that be on for the next fiscal court meeting agenda.
Anybody else for good of the county? Okay. We need to go into executive session per KRS 61.81011, discussion of...
1C, sorry.
1C, I'm sorry. Discussion of pending litigation. We do anticipate a vote coming out of this executive session.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Judge, I'd make a motion that we come out of executive session.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I'll make a brief statement here. Many of you know that we are involved in litigation involving permits that apply to a solar company that would like to do business here. The question is the extent to which our ordinances, including moratoriums, apply to this company. We have spent the last 11 months trying to explain to people that our actions involving renewable energy projects, we're going to follow the law. And that applies to local folks and private citizens as well as large corporations. And we would be hypocritical, I think, to say that we are going to try to follow the law in some situations and not in others. And we have a difference of opinion about a certain permit with this company. And we are trying to get it resolved and potentially have a judge decide that for us. And I'll let Mr. Gold kind of amplify on that and explain the vote we're about to take.
Yes, so federal court does not have, they don't issue what they call advisory opinions. Those are opinions that just kind of say, hey, well, here's what the law is and here's how it should apply. State law does. Kentucky has a Declaration of Rights or a Declaratory Judgment Act, and that is something where when there is some sort of issue about what particular law applies, you can go to a court and then they can decide that question. And under that law, it's actually fast-tracked. It has to be fast-tracked on those circuit court judges' dockets. So the attorney that is representing the county in this federal court matter has advised that it would be in the best interest of the county to file a petition for declaratory judgment on these matters in state court. And he's suggested that would be in the best interest and that it would probably be likely that a special circuit judge would be appointed, one appointed by the Supreme Court to oversee the matter potentially rather than a judge in the Henderson Circuit Court. So what the vote or the request would be to authorize the filing of the petition for declaratory judgment and to authorize not objecting to the appointment of a special circuit judge in the matter. Now, as far as discussing a whole lot of details about the litigation, obviously that's not great. You know, next time UK's in a national championship, we wouldn't want CBS sending a film crew in at halftime for them to live stream exactly what the strategy is going to be for the second half, and only one team be required to do that. So it is my recommendation that the fiscal court not get into details about this litigation or particular litigation strategy. However, I can tell you that it is the recommendation of both Mr. Johns and his law firm, Inglis, Lucas, Priest, and Owsley, and CAF, which is a subdivision of CAECO, our insurance company, has approved doing this and suggested this as well. So as such, it is also my recommendation that we do that.
So we need a motion to approve that recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And I hope everybody heard what Mr. Gold said about the importance of confidentiality in ongoing strategy and why executive sessions are necessary in order to discuss this openly with our attorneys without making too many pronunciations in public because of the sensitive nature of those discussions. So everybody should understand that. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We go to the magistrates. Anything for good of the county, Magistrate Sutton?
All's good, District 3.
Magistrate Tompkins.
Same here, Judge.
Magistrate Putnam.
All good in the fourth.
Magistrate Starks.
I saw you hesitated for a second I'll just say, everything's good. I want to say a big shout out to the folks who put on the summer theater camp out at the college this past week. I think it was very successful, and hats off to they actually built it around the trolls that you can find out in the Audubon State Park. So it was a way to connect kids to a local attraction like our state park, and then also introduce them to some fun theater concepts. So hats off to them for doing that. Otherwise, everything else is doing good.
Thank you. Master Berry?
Thank you, Judge. Just one thing, I'm going to mention Bluegrass in the Park, August 7th and 8th, I believe, over here on the river. And invite everybody to go. It's a good time. It's free. A lot of music, food, all kinds of things. So all's good in one. Thank you.
And the Sandy Lee Watkins Song Fest coming up as well. So, Mr. Gold?
A lot of music this summer, and that's a good thing. Things are good in the county attorney's office, Judge. Still work with the finest group of legal professionals in the world, and I'm proud to be their coworker.
State of the City and County are coming up July 23rd, hosted by the Henderson Chamber of Commerce. I encourage you to attend if you'd like. Other than that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion and a second. All those in favor can leave.